Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's episode 2 of Tea on Twitch. My name's Matt Demers, and today is going to be a little bit different than the last time. Holy crap, today has been a terrible day. I woke up this morning expecting to do some work and prepare for this cast, but as luck would have it, I turned on my computer and my computer wouldn't turn on. Actually, no, the computer turned on. I just didn't get anything on my monitors, which sucks because, yeah, you kind of need those to see. So I found out that my graphics card died, which sucks because I'm poor and I needed to figure out a replacement, mostly not just because of the stream, but because of, I work. I do work on this thing. So I went on a whole bunch of errands today to find a new graphics card that was both like cheap enough that I could still stream and that kind of stuff while not being so expensive that it, broke the bank. I got some clutch donations from a friend to my Patreon, so thank you, Daniel Lee Tafikins, for that. I really appreciate it. It kind of took the fear out of this, but today's Tea on Twitch episode is going to be a little bit different, mostly A, because we didn't have as much time to plan, and B, we don't have as much to go over than we did last time. Last time we kind of had an introduction to tea in general, and this time we're going to do a lot of the similar, but we're also going to be kind of scooting through some stuff because we already kind of know it from before. So today's tea is a black tea, and black tea is different from the green tea that we looked at last week because it is more oxidized. And this is something that we talked about last week, where green tea is, if you imagine a scale, if you imagine kind of like white tea being on one end and black tea being on the other, green is kind of just like here. Green is like a little bit there in terms of oxidation. However, black, since it's been oxidized a lot, is way on the other end of the spectrum. So what does oxidation mean? Oxidation means that the tea itself does not look as healthy. Let's put it that way. It looks a little bit more brown. It looks, well, black in this case. It's more curled. It's more dry. Let's put it that way. It doesn't look as organic, if that makes any sense. So I'm going to do the same thing that we did last time. However, it's going to be a bit of an awkward setup, mostly just because we have some real shit. Just wanted to say you're mad cute. Thanks, Rohan1313. I appreciate that. That's always a good way to lift my spirits. I'm going to hopefully do the same thing that we did last time here. We're going to take the webcam. We're going to tilt it this way. Not into chat, actually. So I'm just talking to chat right now. We're going to tilt this over to a white piece of paper I have here that we're going to be able to look at the tea a little bit better, mostly just because I like doing that. So we have this lovely webcam on a tripod that can bend. And we're going to see if we can do this a little bit better. Last time was a bit awkward. This time is going to be equally as awkward because, like I said, didn't have as much time in order to prepare this time, which sucks. So we are literally going to be resting the camera on my body as a third leg, question mark. Okay, so we're going to pour some tea out. This is Nepal Black from David's Tea. Excuse me, it's a little out of focus. There we go. Essentially, it is I would say a beginner's kind of entrance into black tea, at least from a loose leaf variety. I found this as part of a black tea sampler that came with 3 other black teas in these small tins. And basically, what it is it gives people a different, just kind of like an entry level, like I said, just kind of something that you can try without having to commit to a whole bag. And essentially, I looked up this specific type of tea. Obviously, it is grown in Nepal, because Nepal Black, right? Excuse me. So we're going to unscrew the lid. Basically, I'm going to give it a smell. I'm going to kind of describe what I hear from, or smell anyway. Essentially, it kind of just smells like, it smells very like a tea that you kind of get at a standard supermarket. It almost smells like orange pico. However, the taste is a lot different. As we can see here, it's a little bit stringy. It's very dry, very curled. That's just like a symptom of the oxidization that you are going to get with just like black tea, just from getting black tea. So we're going to pour some out here like we did last time. And I also have a light on a selfie stick, and we might have to adjust the white balance and stuff like this on the webcam. Oh god, I'm really sorry. Today's episode is very rushed. Anyways, we're gonna go into the webcam settings here, and we're gonna mess with the focus. You can't put tea on paper, amateur. Funny. Anyways, let's see what we can get here. There we go. If I shine some light on it, oh boy, that's not even that good. We're just gonna leave the light off. That's good. Okay, let's just calm down here for a second. Get that shadow out of there. So as we can see here, like I said before, this tea is very stringy. This tea is very like dry. This tea is very dark. Has a lot of different kind of colors into it based on some of the leaves and how well they are picked, how old they are, that kind of thing. To be honest, the black tea just like gets a lot of its flavor from, like I said, the oxidization. Like we talked about last week, when a tea is oxidized and when a tea is like left in certain conditions, it releases chemicals that like make it taste different. And that's part of what makes it so fascinating for me, is that, you know, a Nepal tea or a African tea or a Chinese tea or a Japanese tea all have different living conditions in terms of where they're grown and how they're picked and what temperatures they're growing at, what temperatures they're budding at, whether they're choosing the tips of the buds, the base of the buds, the base of the leaves, that kind of thing. Someone donated, thank you so much. I did not catch it because I didn't put the Twitch alerts on here, but we'll just we'll see that in a second. Oh boy. That kind of derailed me a little bit. So what I like about this tea anyway is that I'm not very into caffeine. I am not into coffee at all. I cannot drink coffee. Basically what happens with me is that I get very ornery. I get very cranky. I don't like the way that my body processes caffeine. So what I end up doing is I end up relying on a little bit more tea for that, and that's what I really like. Recwine donated $38.70. Jesus Christ. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. That's amazing. Please use this money to treat yourself to something that makes you smile and at least one ironic coffee mug. I will do that. Thank you so much. That's amazing. Like I said, what I love about black tea is that I don't drink coffee at all, and that's really kind of crazy because I'm a journalist and we're supposed to be like addicted to coffee and that kind of stuff. However, black tea does a lot for me. It's a little bit less in terms of caffeine content. I tend to be able to drink more of it over the day, and especially with my tea maker, I'm able to make a large batch and then just kind of sip at it. I tend to drink tea in much smaller volumes in terms of like what I'm putting in the cup. So it means that I'm just kind of like doing it gradually as opposed to like drinking an entire cup of coffee or like a thing with espresso in it and then dying later. Let's put it that way. Okay, so what we're going to do here, like I said, this episode is going to be a little bit more shorter than it was before, but we're going to start up just like the tea process in terms of putting it in the kettle and all that other stuff. Sorry again about the weirdness of the webcam. Eventually, it would be nice to have 3 different cameras, one for the kettle, one for the tea exhibition, so to speak, and then one for me, but as I'm ghetto, and since this is definitely just a hobby for now, it's a little bit difficult to do that, so we got to refocus this bad boy over here.
Why, hello.
New follower, thank you so much. Appreciate your time. Oh, sorry, I was messing with the wrong webcam. Configure video focus. Back on my handsome face. Ugh. So, Misclick32, thank you so much for the follow. So now that we've like looked at that tea a little bit, I kind of wanted to talk a little bit again about what it means when it's like curled and what it means when the you know, it's very like large leaf. There's a lot in there. There's a lot of surface area, and surface area is really important for tea. Surface area.
Hello.
Thank you for the follow again. I appreciate it. It'll show up in a second. I'm gonna add that Twitch alerts though, because that's pretty sick. Twitch alerts, add existing. Perfect. Cool. True Fossa, thank you so much for the follow. Really appreciate it. Surface area is so important. How many of you have seen the Manatee? And I'll see if I can bring it up here. The Manatee is a novelty tea steeper. And what it is it is a, let's see if I can just like add a window here. Can I just like copy the image source? And then I can maybe put it in as an image? Maybe? Question mark? Let's see. So the manatee is a tea steeper, where what happens is that it looks like a manatee, and then it's got like a bunch of holes in the bottom of it. And then what happens there is that, here it is. This is the manatee. So essentially the manatee is, like I said, it's got a bunch of holes in the bottom of it, and you sit it in the edge of your coffee mug, and the tea steeps out through the holes. It's that kind of stuff. However, I hate the manatee. The reason I hate the manatee is not because I hate manatees. Manatees are great. Manatee as a tea apparatus, however, is very flawed, because what you're looking at is you're looking at tea that is packed really tightly within the manatee's tail. And this isn't specifically to the manatee. There's a whole bunch of other novelty infusers like this, which, you know, that happens. You're basically packing a lot of tea or into a very small amount of space. And what happens with that is that water is not allowed to get the surface area, hit the surface area of the tea that it needs to. When you brew tea, tea opens up, it flowers, it, you know, takes up more space than what you're putting, like, you're able to pack in. So essentially what you're getting out of that is you're kind of making like a salad, or you're making just kind of like a densely packed just slush. I hate it. It's terrible. It does affect the tea, believe it or not. It affects the way that it's steeped. It affects the way that the water is able to reach all the nooks and crannies and get flavor out of it. It also affects the taste. And to be honest, it's like, if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it right. So, you know, taste is important. So we're going to delete the manatee. Bye, manatee. We're going to be taking a teaspoon of the Nepal Black. Like I said, teaspoon. Got a teaspoon, and we've got this. This is the basket that goes in my tea maker, which is on the kettle cam, and you'll be able to see it there. I usually take like 1.5. I'm really low on this tea, to be honest, which kind of sucks. There's not that much left. And then I'm going to be putting it in my tea maker. For those of you who didn't see episode 1, this is a brevet. It is not just a kettle, but a tea maker. What essentially happens is that I have this basket that I put tea in, and I can watertight snap it on here. Cool. And then what happens is that this tea maker has a temperature and a brewing time setting. So if we look on the tea, can't really see it. It's for 4 to 7 minutes at 96 Fahrenheit, and I can do it in 5-degree increments, so I'll put it at 95 just to be safe. And we'll put it at, I usually tend to do in the middle of things, so we're going to do 5 minutes. So, we got to turn that off. 95 for 5 minutes. So, what ends up happening, now that I take the cap off, I can take this, and there's a rod, which you guys can see here. This snaps onto the rod, and then when the tea is boiled, the tea maker is boiled, it'll lower the basket down, it'll steep the tea, you guys can see it in real time, and then we'll be able to drink it. Last time I had a poll as to what drinking apparatus I drink out of. However, the only one that I have clean is the clear one from last time. So we're not going to be doing a poll. Like I said, today's just been like the day from hell. So next time, I promise more interactivity with the chat. Today is a little bit more one-sided. So we're going to put this, we're going to snap the basket in. We're going to put the cover on. Can I do this? Then we're going to hit the tea button. And then you guys are going to be able to see the tea boil. And then brew, which is pretty sick. Apple, thank you so much. We can see some stuff from the chat now. I really appreciate the people who have stuck by and come out a second time. Requine, I know you were here last time, and that was pretty sick. To be honest, I really realized that I really was proud of how the first episode came out. Mostly just because, I don't know, I put a lot of effort into a lot of things that I do, but at the same time, just like that, it was really weird. Flight just took off, just gonna watch until I lose reception. Thanks so much, Apple. I hope you have a safe flight. Basically, what I liked about the Tea on Twitch episode 1 and what I like about this is that it's less of a pressure. I can do this as a hobby. I can do this as something I enjoy, and that's something that I don't get to do that much anymore, mostly just because I tend to make a lot of what I do into work. So I'm loving the responses on Twitter. That's pretty great. So if you guys have any questions about tea, you guys can feel free to ask me. If you'd like to look to my right, excuse me, I can't do lefts and rights that well, my camera right, you guys can see already that the tea is beginning to boil, which is awesome. This tea is actually a very awesome brown color when it's done, and it's very like earthy. It tastes great. You can enjoy black tea usually with milk and sugar if you really like it. I tend to drink it black mostly just because I'm not necessarily a purist or anything, but I don't like milk and sugar. It kind of just dilutes the flavor, and that's what I'm here to taste. Black tea is really good with things like breakfasts, things like good with things like carbs, you know. Think of like what you drink coffee with. You drink it with like toast, or you drink it with like, I don't know. Just think about like those kind of meals, and it's about trying to pair it, you know. Black tea tends to be very acidy, so you can kind of just like take a lot of the food pairing fundamentals in terms of taste, and you can apply it to the tea based on the taste of it. However, now it's getting towards the summer months. I'm wearing a hoodie. I'm really warm down in this basement, so tea probably isn't the best idea, but I like to sacrifice for the stream, obviously. As the summer rolls on, I'm probably going to be doing some iced tea, which is pretty sick. Iced tea takes a long time, sadly. Iced tea takes like 5 or 6 hours, so that's something that is, you know, it's up there. It's just different. Iced tea is different mostly just because in the States and in Canada there's very different depictions of iced tea. In the States, you know, you do have the Lipton stuff, but iced tea is normally just like very unsweetened. It's literal iced tea. In Canada, it's more soft drinky, I guess. So I kind of had to unlearn that a little bit when I was making iced tea for the first time in a pitcher. You have to like cold brew it. If you're cold brewing it, which means you're using cold water, it takes about like 5 or 6 hours. You basically put it into a pitcher with like 2 or 3 tea bags, or just like a lot of tea, and then you just let it sit there. If you hot brew it, essentially you are pouring boiling water into a pitcher full of ice, and then that kind of goes through the same like steeping process as you would hot tea, but you're cooling it down afterwards. So it's kind of a little bit, you know, how much time do you have to devote to that kind of thing, and all that other junk. Right now the tea is boiling quite nicely. The thing I like about this kettle is that it boils fairly quickly. But yeah, I don't know. If you guys have any questions about tea, please shoot me something. Right now I'm not really, like I said, I didn't really have that much prepared. Let's see. I have Kenyan black tea, David's. There's some photos that I found earlier. Nepal black, excuse me, not Kenyan. Nepal and Kenya are 2 different places. I do have a Kenyan tea called Kenyan Tinder, which is pretty sick. We are gonna look up we're gonna create a new browser window here for Opera, which is my stream browser of choice, so you guys don't see any of my, you know, bookmarks and that kind of junk. Add window capture, or can I just browser capture it? No, we're gonna window capture. We're gonna window capture Opera. See, right now the tea is almost done. I made the mistake of filling it a little bit too much, so the water is kind of touching the bottom of the tea basket. That's not a huge problem. Okay, so we're gonna search for our first. I'm gonna put that underneath the Twitch alerts. We're gonna search for Junchiabari, which is the tea house where this tea came from. So there's a lot of different links here. We're gonna see if we can find some pictures and stuff on Facebook. Essentially, Junchiabari does a lot of different tea houses, not just David's. So you've got stuff, the Maison de Thé in Ottawa-Gatineau, which is. There's a lot of different tea houses, let's put it that way. Camellia Sinensis is a tea house in Montreal that I really want to check out. I sat in on a lecture with them, which was pretty cool. So, it's a short distance from Darjeeling. You may have heard of Darjeeling tea before. Essentially, the resulting liquor is sweet and light, displaying its rich floral perfumes. So that's what we're kind of drinking right now. If we look at their photo gallery, this is kind of cool. I had a lot of fun watching this before. So the photo gallery, it like shows us a little bit of a look at Nepal and a little bit of what their growing operation looks like. I wonder what let's just open a few here. A few new tabs. We are going to hide the Opera thing so you can see just how much the basket is down now and everything is very brown. We're gonna unhide that, and then we're just gonna keep this here. That's better. You guys should be able to get a little bit of a better look here. So the rest of it doesn't look like operation photos. It just looks like generic tea photos, so that's fine. We're not missing out anything there. Oh my gosh. These are very small. Let's see what we can do here. Nope, can't do the alt cropping. So essentially, when you're growing tea on the side of a mountain, it's very important to have a decent, structure so things don't fall in on each other. Let's see what else we got here. Just some lovely tea fields. You can see all the bushes are carefully manicured, and they have paths for the people to walk. The best tea is usually hand-picked, which is really important. In Japan and other areas where space is very limited and labor is expensive, you are going to find more machine-picked stuff, and sometimes even machine-processed stuff like sencha, or excuse me, not sencha, matcha, which is kind of like powdered tea that's very ground and very refined. Wow, this opens... Whew, that's a lot of tea on conveyor belts, I guess, or they're just being oxidized right now. They're just being exposed to air. Just processing plants and that kind of stuff. Obviously, locals, that kind of stuff. That's a lot of tea. They're just dumping it off conveyor belts into... Rolling in the deep. Adele, 21. I don't get it. Rolling tea. Okay, I guess this is how it's rolled and processed, but the lyric choice was a little bit weird there. That one which stands out. That's cool. Bamboo shoots. Early spring plucked teas. That's pretty cool. Once they unfurl a little bit, and once they're exposed to water, they kind of unfurl a lot. More to spring harvest than tea. I guess they grow a lot of other stuff. They've got a really good photographer here. We're just gonna kind of... I thought I could grab it and crop it. Guess not. We're going to filters. We're gonna crop this just a little bit, just so you guys can see the entire thing. 100, and then we'll do right 100. Not 2, maybe 500. Yeah, okay. And then we'll do 0. 150. Cool. So this is a little bit better. As my camera just goes wonky. Nope, that's not what we want. Just grabbing all these different elements by accident. Okay, so we've still got another minute 29 on the steeping time there, so we can kind of take a look at some of these photos a little bit better. So this is really cool. This is post first brew, and usually what a lot of Asian countries do, and a lot of how they drink their tea, is based on multiple brewings. So you want to be able to brew, a tea at once, and you get a certain stronger flavor, and then as you brew it multiple times, it gets more bitter, it gets weaker, that kind of stuff, and it brings out different things. I don't usually brew my tea more than once, mostly just because I kind of toss out my leaves after I'm done with them, but it's something I'd like to experiment with a little bit more. That's just some lovely tea trees. Like I said, tea trees are going to look different based on where they're grown. So, I don't know. These ones don't seem to have a lot of leaves going down the branch, but it just I don't know. It's other ones do look very different in terms of having a lot more leaves. Locals, what are they doing? Handcrafted teas come in small micro lots. Damn, that's crazy. Everything's hand rolled over there. Their Twitter and Instagram seems to be very active, which is pretty cool once they get into kind of social media. I love when tea companies kind of get a little bit into social media, because at least it kind of shows that they're trying to appeal to a Western audience, and kind of the Western audience for tea is growing a lot. So if we kind of look at this, we've got like I said, it's very dense, and the more the tea that you can grow, the more tea obviously you're going to be able to harvest. So the tea tree itself is a very kind of is a very hardy plant, but its blooms are very kind of fragile. It's sure, you can have the tree, but if you want to get a consistent growth out of it, you have to kind of replicate the same growth setting every single time, which is very difficult sometimes. So this is even cooler, because now we have a nice aerial view of all the tea growth here, and you can kind of see how things are kind of grown, on the ridge to the mountain. Our tea is done, so that's pretty cool. I don't know what the heck this is. It doesn't even have a caption. Local scenery and daily life. Very idyllic. Anyways, we're going to close this window, and we're going to go back to just this. Thank you guys so much for watching so far. We've been streaming for a lovely half an hour. This is about how much I thought the entire episode was going to go, mostly just because, like I said, we don't have as much educational elements as last time, but we do have our lovely thing of Nepal Black. So I'm going to pour some, and then I'll be able to taste it, let it cool for a little bit, and then give some tasting notes. I love the color of this, and I'll just kind of show it off a little bit under the webcam. It's almost like wine. Like, it's very earthy, very brown, very kind of just like caramel. Ow, burning. Ow. That's why you carry it properly. Can I just like get some light behind it? There you go. So essentially it's just like a nice kind of like maple brown color, and I really like that. Just because I'm stereotypical as hell in Canada, why not? I haven't looked at the chat in a little while. They should have gone with rolling in the steep. Amazing. Do you know what kind of tea they serve at traditional Chinese buffets? I've had it once and really liked it, but don't know where to acquire more. Sadly, that's like a very, like, I don't know. They could have had anything, to be honest. Chinese tea is obviously, I think they're the biggest producer of tea in the world. So it's going to kind of depend on like what tea they like and what tea they are sourcing from and that kind of stuff. It's not just a kind of a generic green tea. So your best bet is to kind of just try a lot of like very common teas, because if they're going to be buying tea for their buffet, they're going to be like buying it in bulk, which means that there's a good chance it's going to be common. If it's something like a Mandarin or something like that, that's just like a chain, it means that they aren't going to have like any kind of specific like brewer relationships and that kind of stuff. So to be honest, it's probably you're looking common. Like, you're looking at something that's very common. And I know that doesn't narrow things down a lot, but to be honest, you can kind of just go to a tea store and just ask to smell things. And usually if they're a good tea store, they will let you smell things. And then you can kind of narrow things down based on, how much, how it tastes or how it smells or that kind of stuff. Usually with tea, tea in restaurants anyway, they're not really paying that much attention to how much it's steeped or how much it's like, crafted and that kind of stuff. So like, you're likely going to be finding something that's really easy to prepare and really kind of like massively accepted. So I'd look for something like senchas. I'd look for something like just general jasmine teas, green teas, that kind of stuff. Those are usually the best ideas. We're kind of just waiting for our tea to cool at the moment. Like I said before, I'm very bad at having things with, I burn my mouth really easily, which is something that really frustrates me. I would love to have more of a palate, a tough palate, if you will, because it's like pizza. It's like once you burn it once, it affects like the entire rest of the experience, and that's something that really frustrates me, I guess. That's why I kind of like my tea maker. My tea maker has a keep warm setting, so essentially I can, it kind of cools itself down to an optimal brewing temperature, and then from there it's really good. I don't know. Our viewer count just took a plummet. I really appreciate the people that have stuck around, because that's all really fun. I'm really cold. I'm really warm. I'm kind of the opposite. Like I said, today was really rough in the sense that my graphics card went kaput, and then I had to go do an errand in order to get that a new graphics card rather, to hold me over until I can save to get another bigger one. Then I had to go get some coffee filters in order to clean off my processor, because I also bought a CPU processor or cooler, which I needed to apply. So I need to clean the thermal paste off. So I need to go get some coffee filters, came back, realized I didn't have any rubbing alcohol, went out again, got that, and then now I'm back. So essentially it's been like a really terrible Friday the 13th. I haven't really had the best time today. And I'm kind of lost for talking points at the moment while this cools. So if anyone has any questions, that'd be amazing. What else can I really talk about? The Tea on Twitch episode 1 worked out really well. I had a lot of good feedback from people who were really interested in it, mostly just because it was very unique, and I really enjoyed how I was able to put a bunch of production elements together. Production is one of the things that I like, mostly just because you can put a lot of polish where other people might not have it. For instance, this layout, I did a fresh hard drive install since the last episode, and the layout got lost in the hard drive transfer. So I don't have the old layout, which sucks. So this I literally put together in maybe like 15 minutes, because all you really need is a couple squares that are at 16 by 9, you know, one for the one webcam, one for the other one, and then a bunch of rectangles for the follower donator, biggest donator kind of thing. So it's not that hard. I've learned a lot from people in terms of like grid-based design, which is pretty cool. It's, you know, I'd say it's a little bit more popular on Twitch these days, mostly because people are realizing how good design will help grow channels. So mainly, like, I only really have a very small amount of elements. I just have the T-cam or the kettle cam, my cam, and that kind of thing. Whew. Rolling in the steep. It's a terrible, terrible pun. I'm really sorry if that picks up on the microphone. But my fondest memories with tea are always really just when you have a specific mood that you really want to enhance. And what happens with black tea for me is that tea, when I'm drinking black tea, it always tends to be around like essays. It tends to be around studying. It tends to be around a lot of reading, or just something where it's less of a calming action and more of a rising fashion. This tea isn't like the strongest caffeinated tea that I have, and David's will like classify this as, they usually have like herbal, which is caffeine free, a 1, a 2, or a stimulant, and this is a 2. So essentially it depends on the ability to process caffeine. But for me, black teas is just like, I have them with breakfast sometimes. I don't drink them nearly as much as I do herbals or greens. Would you suggest different teas for different activities, like a tea for reading, tea for gaming? To be honest, like, I don't it's less of the specific activity and more of the, like, whether you can pair the two experiences together very well. Like with gaming I wouldn't drink tea during, because it's like, it's fast paced. I wouldn't want to spill any of the tea on myself. It usually requires a large amount of attention so like there's a good chance that my tea's going to get cold, which is something, it sounds stupid, but it's like, that's a real possibility for me, and I don't want to waste the tea that I have. So tea for gaming, it's like, usually I just kind of drift back towards like water, or if it's a particularly winter night, I'll drink something herbal or something low investment where I don't care if I waste the bag or something like that. But for tea for reading, it's like, I love having chamomile tea, like herbal chamomile tea before bed, because it's naturally calming. It helps me sleep a little bit better. There's no caffeine in it, so I don't get jumpy at all. I just throw some honey in there, and it's just like a generally, you'll see it marketed kind of as a sleepy time tea, and that's usually kind of what it is. It's really good around bed. It's not that exciting, you know. It's very kind of something that like melds into your body almost. It's like it assumes your body temperature, and it just kind of like flows within you. I don't know, that's really weird. But otherwise, like tea for reading, it's like tea for reading is like anything. Reading is a very neutral activity for me, and it might be more of a ritual for you. So again, like, that's something that I really like about tea, is that the experiences are different. For me, it's less of a ritual, so I can just apply any tea that I want into that. But looking at the environment, looking at what environment I'm sitting in when I'm reading, that's where things get a little bit more specific. If I was just like reading in winter and it's nighttime and I don't really like have anywhere to be, and I just kind of want to chill with a hot drink and warm my hands, it's like, then I might drink like a black tea, or I might drink a green tea if it's way too late before bed or something like that. If I'm, the summer and the spring usually make me want to drink more fruit teas, because they tend to be more refreshing and they tend to be less kind of nurturing. Like I find teas like this, teas like the tea that we had last time, I know nurturing is a very weird way to put it, but it's like, it warms and refreshes the soul. It kind of just like, it assumes you. It's like the feeling of it when you drink it, it spreads throughout your body. Not so much in a taste way or a warmth way, maybe just a little bit of a warmth way, but it tends to envelop the entirety of me, as opposed to like a fruit tea. A fruit tea just ends up being something that I wait till it's lukewarm and either drink all at once, or I'm kind of just savoring the initial drink as opposed to the feeling that it gives me afterwards. So that's the things that I kind of think about, and I know that's kind of weird, but the tea is still steaming. Usually I kind of judge how much or when I can drink things based on, how much it's steaming. I don't like little sips. I don't like little tasting sips, because it just tends to be something that frustrates me a lot. What do we got here? I'm just like looking through Twitter at the moment. There's a lot of esports stuff going on right now. Mostly just because there's a lot of kind of turmoil in the esports industry. There's a lot of growth happening right now, and I hate to be very stereotypical, but tea tends to be a nice centering hobby for me. Mostly just because it's something that I can enjoy all on my own. Something that I noticed is that when you enjoy something a lot, you tend to want to share it with other people, and you kind of want to talk about other people with it, or talk about it with other people. And what I noticed with my old hobbies is I tried to turn those things into work, because I was like, okay, yeah, I want to, turn something, I want to enjoy my job. Let's put it that way. However, with those other things, namely like comics and some other stuff, I just really got sick of talking with them, or talking with other people about them, and I kind of forgot what it was like to enjoy it for myself, or I kind of got in this weird funk where I felt guilty about enjoying it for myself. I felt that I needed to kind of enjoy it along with other people, and it's just a weird feeling for me. So tea is something that, sure, I'm sharing here with you guys, but at the same time, when I'm just brewing it by myself, I don't feel the need to talk about it with everyone. I just feel the need to enjoy it. It's a nice centering experience where I can just focus on that for a little while. And as someone who loses focus, or at least gets a little bit anxious sometimes, it's like the ritual of preparing tea, or deciding what tea you want to make, brewing it, pouring it, waiting for it to cool down, not forgetting about it. That's very centering, and that's something that I really like. Also, you can't have heated arguments about tea, although you can have arguments about heating tea. You can't have heated arguments over tea. I don't know. Tea is also something if I want to take a lady out on a date, tea is very non-committal. It's not expensive, and you can usually make some kind of experience about learning about the other person by either suggesting to them teas or watching them just like what they choose. Because I don't want to say like, tea reveals a lot about some person. It's more of just like, you get to see how another person reacts when they're faced with a lot of choices, and how they kind of like make that educated choice. And I know that's like weirdly analytical, but it's just like sometimes I like to kind of see how someone reacts under pressure, even if it's the tiniest bit of pressure. So I don't know, take dates out on tea excursions and make an effort to try something new yourself, while you kind of like can look cool by suggesting stuff for your date. I don't know, that's kind of what I do. Also, cafes are generally like public places, and if it's a first date and you're nervous about like spending time with someone or meeting someone for the first time, you can't really go wrong with a tea cafe, or just like a coffee cafe in general. I'm going to taste this for the first time. Not for the first time, I've had this tea before, obviously, but for the first time here, and I'll let you guys know what I think about it. I'm still working on my vocabulary in terms of like describing tastes, but I don't know. I'm going to give it a smell and then give it a taste and see what happens. That's good. Essentially, like, I don't know. That specific sip didn't taste like anything. It just tasted like hot liquid. And it's one of those things where I think the longer it stays in your mouth, or the longer that it kind of lasts, means that you are, like, it gives you more of a taste. I also didn't use the back of my tongue there, which is primarily where bitter tastes are stored, or processed anyway. And, yeah, I don't know. This tea is like perfect drinking right now, where it's like hot enough to like sting when it's going down. I don't mean that in a bad way, but it's like nice to perk you up, essentially, instead of just straight burning your mouth. It's also not lukewarm enough that you like, I don't know, have you ever like drank something lukewarm that like halfway through the sip, like a really deep sip, it gets hot all of a sudden? That's kind of like what I like. That's like my ideal temperature, where it's still warm enough that like you get that warm feeling and a little bit of a sting to it, but not so hot that it's burning you. I don't know. I don't know. This tea tastes really good. Like I said, I'm still working on my vocabulary. I can't really describe it at the moment. It's just like, it's nice and earthy. Of course, my phone goes off. 1 second. My bad. It's nice and earthy. It's got kind of like a nice... Yeah, earthy. That's kind of the way to put it. It's like if you've ever kind of like drank or eaten. I don't know. It's kind of got its own taste. It's a weird thing where if you've ever tasted orange pico, it's like you can like the generic of the genericest tea. You've probably had orange pico at some point in your life. Usually, if you ask for tea at a restaurant and it's not green tea, it's orange pico, and it tastes a lot like that. However, you can kind of taste how different it is. You can taste that it doesn't taste the exact same. If you added like milk and sugar to it, you can definitely pass it off as it, but it's just nice and refreshing in a sharp way. It doesn't cool me down or doesn't calm me down like it would, like a fruity tea would. I don't relish in the flavors, the initial taste flavors like I would a fruity tea. Here it's just more of like it washes over you like a wave. It starts at your mouth and then it just kind of like, imagine like a giant rectangle of heat or just like a wave, and it just like heats up your body going the entire way down. It basically tastes like orange pico, only a lot less or a lot more subtle. You don't immediately taste those notes. I don't know. I want to say it's like chocolatey. I want to say it's like has a little like fuck. The weird description is like imagine tasting dirt. And I know that doesn't sound appetizing whatsoever. That does not sound appetizing whatsoever. But imagine for an instance, like you can imagine dirt tasted good. Like imagine dirt tasted something like you ate on a regular basis. That's kind of like what it tastes like. It's like if you've ever shoveled dirt to for me, what the memory that gets dredged up when I drink this is gardening. Mostly just because when I'm helping my grandma garden, I'm usually in one of two roles. I'm either pulling weeds or I am shoveling dirt because my grandma's old. So this reminds me a lot about that. It's not so much that it tastes directly like dirt. It's just like the smells. The smells are very earthy. And for some reason that sounds like the lamest explanation in the world. But that's kind of what it is. There's no real aftertaste to it. It's like you kind of just get all the taste at once, and then it washes back. Like I said, the heat kind of washes back. I don't know if that's something that will improve like as it gets colder, but I don't know. A lot of the black teas that I've gotten taste different, only very subtly. Mostly because, like I said, they're the same plant. All that's being defined is how they were grown and where they're grown and the length of their oxidation. So when I have this Nepal Black, or when I have the Kenyan Tenderit that I have, or I have the Assam that I have, they're all the same plant. It's just like the different tastes like dirt if dirt were good. Yes, I know. I'm really sorry. Not doing a good job of selling it here. But the Assam that I have, those three teas that were in the same sampler, they all taste very similar, but like just the altitudes and the barometric pressure and the temperature at which they're processed, it all just contributes to all different things, that little subtle notes. I find that the strongest tasting teas, like the teas that you can immediately say, oh, this tastes like chocolate, or this tastes like whatever, they're usually flavored in that specific way in order to like specifically for that. Let's see. I want to search for this Junchi Abari again, which is the tea house. I'm going to read Camellia sinensis' description of it. From magnificent gardens only a short distance from Darjeeling, the delicate leaves and golden buds of this fall lot have been transformed with care and expertise. The resulting liquor is sweet and light, displaying rich floral perfumes, honey, and subtle fruity apple and chocolate accents. So I was kind of right about the chocolate. It's like the thing that I have a lot of hard times discerning anyway is the things like the fruit, like the floral fragrances, and things like the apple, the honey. It's like, to me, those generally taste like sweet, you know? And I think that now that I've read it, I'll be able to taste it a little bit better. Like, I can definitely kind of smell the honey a little bit, but that's not something that I directly attribute to the tea, you know? That's not something that I think about the first time that I sip something. I don't know. Let's see what else it says. I don't think that's actually the one. Damn, son. This what's it called? site is just like hardcore in terms of it has like lots from where it was picked and that kind of stuff. And sometimes these people get really hardcore. There are a few good things brewing in the highlands of Nepal, like this handmade black tea from a small family-owned tea garden named Jun Chiabari. From the first sip, you'll notice its rich, sweet, honey-like flavor. What doesn't come through in the cup is how much good this little tea garden does. They've said, okay, so whatever. That's just like all the philanthropy they've done. So whatever. That's fine. Anyways, I think that's a good thing to end off at. I want to thank you guys for watching the second episode of Tea on Twitch. I really appreciate your time. I apologize that this one is a little bit more ramshackle, but next time should be a little bit more organized. Until then, thank you for watching. I hope you guys have a good day. If you want to buy this tea, you can check out davidstea.com. They have yet to give me any kind of sponsorship or referral, which I'm hoping for one day. However, they are a very generally good tea. They are going to they ship to United States and Canada, and if you buy over $50 worth of tea, they ship for free. So that's pretty cool. There's also a number of brick and mortar locations. However, they're much more plentiful in Canada than they are in the States. Next time I might do a little bit on tea retailers and the ones that I've experienced. But for now, like I said, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. I hope you really enjoyed it. We're just going to sit here and wait for the thing. 4 5.